morning. It is another great day at RadioNext.tv. And as you can see in the screen, and I told you we were going to continue to bring this candid conversation on sleep. Dr. Anakute, how are you today?
Hi, Harold. Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am just blessed and wonderful, and thank you for asking. And just want to remind the listening audience about Dreamland Health and Wellness. And you can get all of this information that we're going to talk today in some doses, layered doses. But today we want to talk about sleep apnea because as I was talking to you before we started the show today, there are so many questions about sleep apnea. First, I think we need to describe to the audience what is sleep apnea, and then we're going to go into some questions that I know my audience will have that I'm thinking.
Okay, so let's talk about sleep apnea. I really love talking about sleep apnea, and it is the most common sleep disorder out there. Um, a lot of people actually have sleep apnea, don't know, but some people know they have it, are taking care of it, but they don't even really understand it. So I'm glad we're really talking about this. So sleep apnea is an obstruction. Now, I would actually start this way. There are two types of sleep apnea: obstructive sleep apnea and central sleep apnea. I'm going to stick with obstructive for today. So obstructive sleep apnea is an upper airway obstruction that leads to low oxygen levels during sleep. Essentially, the upper airway is blocked, and so that manifests as snoring. And when that happens, so the upper airway should be something like this. Let me put it this way, right? And so during obstructive sleep apnea, the upper airway is closed, and oxygen can't get through to the organs, the tissues, different body parts, including the brain, the heart, the lungs, every system, every little cell in the body, essentially.
Now, this is where your husband, who does the aesthetic surgeries and aesthetic procedures, might come into play, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, not exactly, because the treatment of sleep apnea is not for aesthetics, right?
Okay,
And
I was just curious, and when you start talking about the physiological part of it, and I know that he does some things that sleep is disrupted by some of the physiological characteristics, and I was wondering, was this one? But glad that we know that.
yeah.
So when we start talking about obstruction of our airways, this is something that you can't control, right?
Well, you can't control it if you have it, essentially, but
Right.
definitely can be treated. And we're sleeping, we don't know what is happening. And so you will, the only way the body protects us, I would say, from the dangerously low levels that oxygen is dropping to, is to wake us up intermittently during the night to take breaths so that the oxygen level rises back to normal or as close as possible to normal.
That brain is amazing.
Yeah.
We underestimate really the gift of how divine this brain is. So when we start talking about sleep apnea, what happens if you have continuous sleep apnea? Is this something that occurs nightly if you have it? Tell me how this happens.
Great.
It,
So, yes. So sleep apnea happens through the night. If you have sleep apnea every night, your airway is obstructed and oxygen is not being delivered to the heart, to the lungs, and all of the body parts. And so over time, technically, I would say over many years, the heart becomes tired, the brain becomes weak, and this leads to complications if not treated. And we're talking about things like heart failure. We're talking about problems with memory and concentration, eventually leading to dementia. We're
wow.
talking, yes, we're
No,
talking
no, I
about
mean, I've got something to keep going. I'm sorry.
we're talking about the heart beating irregularly, leading to things like atrial fibrillation. We're talking about a stroke because oxygen is not getting delivered to the brain. Things like that. And apart from even all of the organ having issues, the issues of just not functioning properly during the day because you're sleepy, you're tired, you're not well rested when you wake up, and how that can lead to dangerous situations like having motor vehicle accidents. And so these are the common things that are likely to happen if sleep apnea is not treated.
I was just in awe because I've been working in the field of dementia and Alzheimer's for the last 7 years, and I told you I'm trying to build an ecosystem. And how little did I know when we talk about dementia and Alzheimer's, and that is one of the primary things that they bring up about being able to ward off the early onsets of dementia and Alzheimer's is healthy sleep. Healthy, I mean, it's repetitive. Healthy sleep, healthy sleep. And that's the reason I've been telling you we have to get you involved in that conversation and that narrative, because to have people talking about healthy sleep versus somebody who is an expert at healthy sleep would be a lot more, I think, revealing to some of the things that we can do to help that cause. That's the only reason I was saying that, because that is primary in our
Yes.
discussion in the steering committees and everything. Healthy sleep for the people who are dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's. Now, you mentioned over a long period of time some things that can affect, and I'm looking at it now, and it sounds like every chronic disease that we can think of, uh, not having a healthy night's sleep can contribute to all of those chronic diseases that you're talking about, from heart failure to diabetes or whatever it might be.
Right.
What can we do? What would be the first step once we find out uh, I am not getting the proper sleep due to this cause? Not eating too late or drinking too much, but I have a problem that needs attention.
Good question. So let me start this way actually. How can you tell if you're at risk of sleep apnea? And because that's what's going to lead you to the next step of taking an action.
Mhm.
So the main symptom is snoring. If you snore, or you've been told by someone that you snore, and some people live alone, so it's difficult to tell. And so I usually ask about when you go on vacation, sleepovers, night girls night out, things like that, family time. Does anyone tell you that you snore, right? And if you haven't done any of those activities, there are other things that we can talk about. Are you waking up feeling tired even after getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep? Do you feel sleepy? Do you doze off in the afternoons after eating? Do you wake up with morning headaches? Do you feel like you're waking up in the middle of the night multiple times and you don't know why? Or are you even using the restroom multiple times at nighttime? Because that's also a symptom of sleep apnea. And so, any of those things actually should cause people to seek a further evaluation. And I always say the first step is to talk to your primary care doctor and say, hey, this is what is happening. And they can look into it and see if you need to be seen by a sleep specialist. You can also have your primary care go ahead to either a home sleep study or an in-lab study. And that's really how we make diagnosis of sleep apnea.
Dr. Anapuche, I have been to the doctor, and I am not trying to smash or, blaspheme. No, I'm just saying I've been 3 times in the last year, and not once have any of the doctors asked me about my sleep.
Yeah.
Uh, and I wonder, is
Yeah.
that just something that they look over, not understanding how important this is to our health and our everyday general, fiber and being?
Yeah, sadly so. And what you're saying is really true. I can tell you that not a lot of primary care physicians are looking into this area. And so that's why we're doing this, right? We're educating people so they can be advocates. They can, for themselves, right? For their health, for their loved ones. I always tell my patients, for example, if your loved one ever has a stroke, the first question you want to ask is, can they get a sleep study? Because we know that sleep apnea, if untreated, can lead to a stroke. And if that is still not taken care of after the first incident of the stroke, there will be multiple episodes of strokes. And so some physicians don't even know this. And that's really why I'm passionate about reaching out to the community and equipping them with the knowledge that they need. And so it might take us as the patients to speak up for ourselves and say, hey, by the way, I'm not sleeping well. Is there someone that you can refer me to? Yes.
This is beautiful because I told you we do not know many of the things that you are bringing today. This is foreign to a lot of us, and I think people will benefit each time that we come in and give these, just hard pressing topic specific, knowledge about some things. And sleep apnea looks like. How many people would you say on a percentage would you think are dealing with sleep apnea?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, because I'm serious. Sleep is, I am in
No.
awe.
So let me
Man.
give you these statistics, okay? So, and I will link it to obesity. By the year 2030, this is where we're headed, okay? And then I will come back to your question. By the year 2030, it is estimated that 50% of the population will become obese. And so that means that 1 out of every 2 persons will be obese. And sleep apnea is strongly linked to obesity. And so we're talking by 2030, 1 out of every 2 persons will likely have sleep apnea. Yes.
And we are also having to consider the silver tsunami in around 2030, where we'll have more seniors on this planet. And we know seniors have. I mean, I'm just adding up this data and looking, and I'm like, man, we are on a sleep pandemic pretty much. I mean, an unhealthy sleep pandemic is what it looks like we could be facing, where we won't even know why we're suffering. And a simple thing like sleep and knowing how to get a good night's sleep could save us. It's unbelievable, Doc.
Yes, it is.
So what we're going to do is we're going to close because I'm going to play this today. It's, of course, I always replay it on the Senior Scoop, and it'll be out on all of the YouTubes and the Facebook and Instagram platforms later today. But I thank you as always for bringing this candid and rich conversation about what we need to know about getting a healthy sleep.
Thank you, Harold. It's always so nice to talk with you.
Thank you. And remember, if you want to find out more about Dreamland Health and Wellness, you can go to www.radio-next.tv, and the link is at the bottom. And you can also go to dreamlandhealth.com and find out everything you need to know about Dreamland Health and Wellness. And we'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks.
Yeah, that was good. I told you, see, we getting smooth, Doc.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting smooth with it.